So one of the reasons I'm out here this weekend is to have what I call a burning ceremony. Sometimes when we go through life we experience some things that aren't all that favorable. And I figure in the aftermath, whatever's left over makes a really good fire starter. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of 4Expedition Outdoor. I decided last night, which was Saturday night, to get up and get my stuff together and head out the door. It's probably around 9 o'clock at night, and I ended up getting out to Apache Lake to do a little bit of stand-up paddleboarding this weekend. I got out here probably around 11:30, I would say, and the campground here is pretty full, so unfortunately it's not going to be a real wilderness experience for me this weekend, but nonetheless I'm having a good time and got the rooftop tent set up, have the pup with me here, and we'll probably head out on Apache Lake in a little while and do a little bit of paddling around the lake, show you just how beautiful this lake is. And Apache is located just below the dam at Roosevelt Lake. So the Roosevelt Dam basically feeds into the Salt River, and then there's a dam that holds back water into Apache Lake. And I've talked about this before in past videos. So I hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll get out there on the water here in just a little bit, making some breakfast right now. So this morning I'm making an organic quinoa dish with some chia seeds, probably mix in some bananas, some cranberries, and then maybe also add a little bit of gluten-free granola. This one's organic strawberry. So I like to make turmeric tea when I'm out here camping. Sometimes I would learn this from a dear friend of mine who taught me that turmeric tea is actually really good for you. And I'll put a little bit of information about turmeric tea at the bottom of this post so you can learn a little bit more about it. But I usually take a nice spoonful and put it in with some almond milk and boil it. You might have some other turmeric tea recipes, but I keep it pretty simple. Turmeric tea offers a lot of wonderful health benefits. Definitely something that I would advise everyone having a little bit of every day. So I thought I'd take a minute to talk to you about being an adventurer and holding down a day job. In my opinion, if you're an outdoor adventurer like me, the greatest enemy of adventure is having a 9-to-5 job and having to be a weekend warrior. And this is a really good example. This campground is a really good example of what I mean by that. I came out here on Saturday night and got set up probably around midnight this morning, Sunday morning. And this campground is absolutely packed full of people. They were blasting music and yelling and chattering and doing whatever, which is fine. They have every right to do that until probably 2 o'clock in the morning, until somebody in one of the other tents shouted, "Shut the f*** up." And then they finally calmed down. But what's interesting is this morning I got up, I made my breakfast, I'm just observing all these people here, and what's really nice to see is that they're all packing up their things and they're heading back to Phoenix so that they can go back to their 9-to-5 job. Now, I have a day job, but I have a little more flexibility than most people because being self-employed, I can sort of set my own hours. So what I do is I come out here on Saturday night. Yes, there's a lot of people, but I'm going to stay tonight and go back on Monday night. Or maybe I could actually work over the weekends and I could come out here on Sunday night and stay through Tuesday. And I can guarantee you that 95% of these campsites will be unoccupied, which is one of the main reasons I came out here last night. I do need to work this week, but I'm able to have a little more flexibility on Monday. And by the time 1 o'clock this afternoon rolls around, this campsite will probably be almost completely vacant, and I'll move maybe down closer to the water and be able to paddle around on the water and watch the sunset, and it'll be nice and quiet. But if you've got a day job and you're not real happy with what you're doing for your work, and you want to get out and spend a lot more time in nature, there's no better time than right now to start planning your escape. Start planning your escape. That might mean finding some means to be self-employed, starting a business of some kind, creating a website that promotes some expertise you have or something that you hold as what I call information assets. And by the way, I'm going to be starting to create videos that mix in some of my philosophy and understanding about building brands online and how to create trust through the attributes of credibility and authority online to make money. And I spoke about this a couple of times at Overland Expo in the past to help people figure out how to become self-employed professionals so they can travel the world or whatever. But my suggestion is just creating some sort of a sustainable experience so that you can have more time out in the wilderness on the weekends. You don't have to travel on the weekend, and you can spend more time during the week doing that sort of thing, doing the things that you love. I probably count upwards of 200 people out here on this beach this morning. And like I said, most of them are packing up and moving out of here. But I'm going to stick around for another night. And I'm sure there'll be an absolutely beautiful sunset on this water, and I might actually paddle out onto the water during the sunset and share that experience with you. I've come to Apache Lake on a number of occasions paddling here on my stand-up paddleboard, and it's one of my favorite lakes to paddle on because it's actually fairly remote. And it's hard to express this now, but for the most part it's usually pretty quiet around here. Last time I was out here, there wasn't a single person in this campground. I was here by myself, and I'm sitting there getting my dinner prepared at around 10 or 11 o'clock at night when I got here. Got everything set up. I had my LEDs on bright all the way around my car to light up the area so I could see, and I had my dog with me, and all of a sudden I started hearing a grunting noise, and literally within seconds an entire herd of probably 6 or 8 javelina came running right through my camp. Some of them actually brushed right against my legs. They were that close. And of course they'll annihilate your dog, so I grabbed her right away and threw her in the car. And I stayed outside working on making my meal, but I was pretty alert at that point because I could still hear some grunting in the darkness. And if you don't know what a javelina is, It's basically a member of the rodent family, but it looks like a wild boar. It's got huge long tusks. It's got really thick, stiff hair on its back. It kind of looks like a pig, a hairy pig. But they can be pretty ferocious, especially if they have little ones with them. And some of them that came running right through my camp were babies. So it was a pretty serious situation. So I pretty much packed up and went to bed after I made something to eat. Got up in the morning, and sure enough, there they were, roaming around somebody else's camp in the morning before they got up. And there were people sleeping in tents, and there were javelina literally roaming right around their tents, eating grass and twigs off of trees and so forth. So pretty awesome experience when you're out here like that by yourself, and you have that kind of an interaction with an animal. I don't really encourage it, but I'd rather have that experience than an experience with some crazy psychopath human being, which is a good reason to carry some kind of self-defense. And actually, a good friend of mine who's an ex-Green Beret, he was telling me that the best self-defense that you could possibly have is a paintball gun, especially one that has multi-round shot. And he basically said, listen, if somebody's coming around you and you have yellow paintballs and you start pelting them with paintballs, first of all, they're going to take off. Second of all, you're going to mark them with yellow paint, so you just tell the cops what to look for. And then, of course, if they somehow get the weapon out of your hands, they're not going to kill you like they would with a shotgun or a 45 or something like that. So I thought that was pretty good food for thought, so I might actually grab one of those and have that along as well. That is one sexy decal. Hey, did you guys know that you can get that decal from my website? If you go on Instagram, there's a lot of people who have actually put them on their vehicles. Then they hashtag 4Expedition, and we recognize them and so forth. But you can go to 4expedition.com. That's the number 4, and then XPEDTION.com. So there's no E. And pick yourself up one of these 4X icons, or actually get yourself two. Put one on either side of your vehicle. Made a chicken stir fry with organic vegetables and chicken, shredded chicken and coconut oil. Cooked it up in a cast iron pan. Decided to cook up dinner early today. It's about 4 o'clock. I'm going to head out on the stand-up paddleboard right before the sun goes down. There's not much of probably not going to be much of a sunset. There's an overcast. It's kind of breezy. But I thought it might be a nice time to go out on the board with the dog and just enjoy the sun going down and peace on the water, and then not have to come back and eat some dinner afterwards. Something to consider when you're out camping. You want to do something at sunset. Don't make it a big pain in the butt to have to come back and actually have to cook up all your food in the dark. Just go ahead and have an early dinner and then clean it all up, head out, climb up to the top of the mountain, watch the sunset, come back down with a headlamp on, or in my case, inflate the stand-up paddleboard and go out there on the board and paddle around and just watch the sun go all the way down, and then come back to shore, and you don't really have to worry about making dinner and cleaning up in the dark. So